So Ned, tell us about your professional journey and some of these standout moments which has made you the person you are today.
I started coding very young. I was about 8 or 9. Had my first company when I was 14, building web pages for people. I joined Merrill Lynch, where I was writing trading systems. Did that for about 12 years. I joined Amazon, helping financial services move to the cloud, and found that to be a great experience, but I wanted to be on the builder side again. So I had the fortunate coincidence of meeting Walter Dauda and joined Sing Life. Now I've gone back and kind of running the company and with my co-founder.
So as we are talking about the whole product planning actually, so there has been a thinking like build it and they will come, right? And then there is a thinking of having a proper strategic planning. So what's your framework in terms of balancing these two things out so that you're also not falling in a trap of decision paralysis?
Okay, so a few different things. Firstly, that strategic planning has to actually be strategic. And what I mean by that is have the vision, have the goal, and everyone should agree on that roadmap and everyone buys into it. But then the specific sort of iterations and permutations to get you to that point is impossible to plan, particularly given that the entire thing might shift. So instead of worrying about analysis paralysis and how you're going to get there, it's more like set those larger goals, have as many feedback loops in place as possible to know that you're actually moving forwards, but then sort of push down the actual iteration and planning to people who are closer to it. And as long as they're aligned with that bigger goal, it should work.
And talking about coining phrases actually, so I think the recent one which you have coined is Uncomfortably Simple?
Uncomfortably Simple,
Can you tell us about that actually?
Sure. So Uncomfortably Simple is my sort of mental framework for trying to build products and technology where they're so simple, you're a little bit uncomfortable, and then iterating as much as you can, as opposed to front-loading some of the complexity and saying, okay, this is now good enough for people to look at it. Now, the second point around Uncomfortably Simple, though, is that if your products are as uncomfortably simple as possible, you need to be able to iterate and release as fast as possible on those products.
Like, what is the right engineering culture to you? How do you build it? How do you maintain it?
Culture, as we commonly use it, is an output, not an input. We know that something has good culture or bad culture or a particular set of ideals that we're working towards, but you can't just change that. You've got to change inputs that will drive a change to that. So what is a good engineering culture as an output? Yeah. To me, a good engineering culture is when the engineers are excited about what they're building. So how do you get happy engineers? For a start, hire some engineers. People often talk about having engineering cultures, and then you look at the actual team makeup and there are no engineers in the team. Second thing is trusting the engineers. So you have to create an environment where engineers feel like they're building, and builders feel like they're building the right thing and that they're getting satisfaction. Engineers don't have to be taught to be innovative, they need to be allowed. If you emancipate the people in your team, if you allow them to do the right things, if you then mostly just get out of the way, but you've got your roadmap in place, you can see the longer term vision, people will build cool stuff.
So nowadays, like everyone is talking about let's work as a technology team, a technology company, right? And we are definitely a technology company.
Yeah.
But what does it mean, first thing? And then how do you take it to other departments?
Choose the characteristics that make you you and go deep on it. Of course, you can take inspiration from other places, of course, but I mean your core values and fundamental principles. It's around cross-functional cultured teams where you've got people from multiple disciplines on the same communication channels, giving feedback through the same tools, breaking down those silos into a squad that has its own mission. Now that mission that squad has is going to be different depending on if you're a tech company versus a marketing company, but the principles still remain.
Thanks, Ned. Thanks for the great chat. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you.